And finally, we get to the point which we can call for sure as the most important part of retouching. And we call it touch and burn. You probably heard about this technique if you are into Photoshop, and if you watch in this course, you probably know a little bit about Photoshop, and I'm sure you heard the terms touch and burn. So I'm going to tell you very simply what is touch and burn and how does it looks like. To touch means we are going to brighten up areas, and to burn it means we're going to darken some areas. So that's all you need to know on this place. So once again, dodging is brightening up the areas that we really want. Usually these are areas that are our highlights, and burning is darkening the areas that we want to darken. That usually are shadows, as you can notice over here. So which possibilities gives you touch and burn, and why is it so powerful that you cannot replace this by any other tool? There is few possibilities that touch and burn gives you. First of all, by using touch and burn, you can improve the lights, you can improve the highlights area, which is impossible to do during the shooting. For example, not always you have such a perfect lights, so by dodging and burning, you can improve the areas you really want. You can improve the overall exposure of the image. It doesn't matter how you're going to call this, if you're going to call this brightening or bringing up exposure, as long as you pulling up some brightness into the image, you're doing dodging. And as long as you turning down some of the lights, as long as you painting into the darkness, you're doing burning. The other possibility is, it's not really so popular in beauty retouch, but somehow we still do this, is directing the attention of the viewer. When you do outdoor photography, it's really important to brighten up the element that you want to improve. It's very often our model. However, in beauty retouch, it still exists. We paint the contours and we improve the brightness of the image because we want to pull the viewer attention into the specific points. We want to show everything what's the greatest on this image. Next thing, and you probably heard of it, because that's the thing that people usually use touch and burn to improve the contrast. So we probably heard about this, but yes, that's the other thing that you can do by touch and burn. You can adjust the contrast and improve the dynamic of the image. It's not a secret that when we paint into the brighten areas with the lights and when we darken areas, we automatically improve the contrast and our image become more dynamic. And the last thing, which is the most powerful, and you cannot replace that by any other tool, is fixing shadows and brightness of the specific areas without destroying the image or without changing the shape of the image. So that's super important, and that's the real art of dodging and burning, and that's the real power of dodging and burning. For example, when you look at this image, in this area, maybe I should open the help layer, and I'm going to choose some brush. So okay, for example, in this area, there is some shadows. Of course, this image looks really well, but we still can find some really shadows that are not wanted on this image, even here on the fingers. So touch and burn giving you this possibility to fix all of these bad areas over here, and to fix the highlights and to fix the brightness of the image without destroying it or without changing the shape, as I said. But about this a bit later, because just by talking about this, I believe it sounds a bit complicated. I want to show you right now some really great thing how touch and burn works, because even people are talking about this, they not often show how does it works and what it's all about. So very common technique is to use touch and burn on the gray layer, and imagine the image is just a flat gray layer. I'm going to choose a brush. I want really hard edged brush, and going to make just a gray dot, something like this. Not black, of course, I forgot to change the color. Let's paint once again, somewhere over here, and I'm going to paint gray dot, and that's our flat image. And as I said, the Dodge and Burn giving you incredible possibilities to improve the lights and improve the shadows of the image, improve the dark areas of the image, and that makes actually kind of 3D object and improve the shape of it. So as this is our image, I'm going to create new layer right now, and let's see what is going to happen when some areas I'm going to darken and then some of these areas I'm going to brighten, and how beauty 3D object we're going to get. But for this, I'm going to choose soft edged brush, and I selected this object, and with color black, I'm going to paint around a little bit. It still doesn't look well, but that's what is happening. We're darkening up some areas, and this little ball over here, it started to look like a ball. It was the flat texture before, but right now it's getting some nice roundy shapes. I'm going to create another layer, and on this layer, of course, we can change opacity a little bit to give it a more sense. Okay, maybe till this level. And now I'm going to choose the white color of the brush, and I'm just going to press a dots over here. Maybe even a few times. And okay, that was enough. Maybe I could put this a bit higher because it doesn't look so perfect. But already after these few steps, from this flat gray area, I got this 3D object, and I didn't do anything complicated. I just add some of the dark areas, then I brighten this up, and using lights and darks, I created this 3D object. So you can actually see how powerful is dodging and burning. In high-end beauty retouch, there is a little bit more about dodge and burn. There's two kinds of dodging and burning. The first we call global dodge and burn, which is macro level of dodging and burning, and the other one is micro level of dodging and burning, that we often call as a local dodge and burn or pixel level dodge and burn. So what's the difference between these two? You see, I already did some of the dodging and burning. So as the name says, global dodge and burn, so macro level and dodge and burn makes you easy to guess what is that. As you can see, I opened the group. The global dodge and burn, it's all about contouring, and very often we call global dodge and burn just as a contouring. So the blue color shows you the areas that we darkened, so it's burning. The blue color is for the burning, and this orange color is for dodging, so the areas that we actually brighten up. So as you can see, we usually brighten up the areas that are already brightened. It's forehead, cheeks over here a little bit, and the lines we really want to brighten. You can see already here on this image, we brighten up these areas. Not on this image, because I wasn't working on this image yet, but it's the same image, and you can see all of the moves I made. So that's how we set up the contours of the image. And what does it make? It actually makes the face look a bit smaller, and also it's going to make this look a bit more dynamic. So I believe it all sounds quite simple for you till this point, because now let's go into something complicated, and let me show you, because we will have some time for explaining, but let me show you local dodging and burning. And as the name says, it's pixel level dodge and burn, and by local dodging and burning, we actually retouching the image. You see, the human face, it's not a flat texture, and you can see when I zoom this in quite much, we can see some of the shadows. It will be easier to find this here. I'm going to repeat this in the future lesson, but you can see some different colors of the image. You have little shadows over here, and there is a lot of them. over here. It's really easy and difficult to notice them right now, but during this course I'm going to show you how to recognize such a micro transitions. Over here, as you can see, dark areas, and especially here, I have a lot of small tiny shadows, and I don't know if these are wrinkles or these are little spots, but these wrinkles, these little spots create a little shadows on the face that we call micro transitions. So by dodging and burning, we can actually even out these little shadows and even out these little spots and create really perfect skin. I know it's really time-taking thing, but there is no other way to do this. You can think about frequency separation or something, but what I recommend you to mix frequency separation with dodging and burning, because you cannot do everything without using dodge and burn. Dodge and burn is the most powerful tool. So that is kind of final result of local dodge and burn, and I'm not going to lie, it took me around 2 hours probably, and there's a lot of tiny spots. So that was the introduction to our high-end beauty dodging and burning.